Welcome back. Welcome back to the course, and welcome to the final, really substantive recording. I mean, in the recording next week, there will be opportunities and offers for you, but this is where we really get to put it all together, tie it all together for you. And students in the past have told me that this is one of the most useful sessions for them, really, and that is that we tie it all together, we lay it all out in one foul swoop. So, for the next, roughly 15 minutes, I'm going to review the entire course for you. This will also help your unconscious mind further integrate those learnings into the background. This is one of those that you might want to refer back to, although I encourage you to refer back to the course over and over and over again. But let's put it all together. First, we've traveled a lot of terrain together, and now it's time to make sense of that map, knowing, of course, that the map is not the territory, but to get one 30,000 foot view of the entire course. So let's talk about Module 1. What did we do in Module 1? In Module 1, we talked about what it takes, and we really demystified the six-figure practice. What does it take for a six-figure practice? Just a few things, actually. All it takes is for you to sign 2.5 clients per month to an extended package at least $150 an hour. Now, it's very simple. There's still a lot of moving parts, but we really demystified. That's all it takes. 2.5 clients a month. Every month to an extended package at least $150 an hour. And that is just simply all it takes. Now, how do you do that? Well, we talked about all those components, but that's what it takes. We also talked about how to get the most out of the course. We talked about setting up time for you to spend on the course every week, actually scheduling it. We talked about the reading materials, the books. We talked about getting a practice partner to assist you in the skill acquisition. We also talked about organizing principles and mindsets, and we talked about a few in the first videos, but we also gave you a sheet to download that had many more in it for you. And that was Module 1. Module 2 was really about your personal work. And we cleared your emotional past. We exposed you to timeline therapy and that technology. And we talked about self-esteem and its importance. And really, if there's one thing you work on, it would be understanding true esteem for the self. And also that you continue to build your ego in the positive sense so it can withstand the ups and downs of life. It's your immune system for life, essentially. And we talked about how most people misunderstand it, and we assisted you in understanding it. We also talked about creating your future using timeline therapy, and we demystified the secret. We use your unconscious organization of time in combination with the law of attraction and also some additional submodalities, really creating your future. We talked about SMART goals, stated in the positive, measurable, achievable, responsible, and set in time. And then in Module 3 and 4, we got into your work in the world and your client acquisition. So in Module 3, we talked about distinguishing your ideal clientele and assisted you with that. We also gave you a framework, a structure to create your comprehensive offering such that you could offer that to that ideal clientele. And we delved into the art of evolutionary sales, which, is an art I'm still mastering. So please continue to reinforce yourself with that. Of course, getting a few people under your belt with the system, people who signed, that'll assist you in increasing your confidence and your esteem for yourself in that context. And finally, we got into distinguishing your life purpose, that thing that you're probably already doing. And we talked about the qualities and characteristics that are necessary for a purpose versus a mission. Often Purpose will always be, of course, abstract. It will always be something you could do in any context as long as there's another human being there. And in Module 4, client acquisition. Some more nuts and bolts here. We talked about your marketing plan. We talked in great detail about technology and your website. I think I'm certain that we also gave you a really clear step-by-step tutorial with WordPress. We talked about social media, blogging, and search engine optimization, and integrating your social media plan with your site. And we talked in great detail about press releases, how to create those, which websites I recommend, although there's plenty of them out there, but sending press releases out to drive traffic to your site and to increase your page ranking as well as your page reputation. And then we got into the bread and butter of building your practice, certainly at first, talks and intros. And I'm certain that I told you there's simply no replacement for doing evening talks or intros. Doing teleseminars and webinars, things like that, that's great for selling products. It's incredibly ineffective for building your practice. You have to have an in-person evening for those people. And we talked about how simple that is. We talked about the 4 learning styles and how to use that to have the talk simply write themselves. And we talked about pre-framing the interest sheet and then, of course, using the interest sheet. And we talked about all the things that are necessary with that interest sheet, following up in 24 hours, and really then plugging people into the evolutionary sales flow, the evolutionary sales system, which of course we give you a checklist for, which is incredibly useful for you, and you'll want to keep that handy whenever until you feel you've mastered it. Good. And then in Module 5, finally, Module 5. In a sense, welcome to Module 5. Well, let's talk about integration. First of all, you want to set a rhythm for your business. I know we talked about this in terms of marketing for the intros and stuff, but you can do a couple of intros a month and be assured that you can give the worst intro of your life and still sign a client or two. So you want to change the topic, but you can continue to do the same topics really. At some point, they might get a little stale and you want to refresh them, and you want to, of course, get feedback on your marketing, your copywriting, things of that nature. Sometimes it's just changing the subject line that actually really changes your response. But setting the rhythm of a business, you want to be doing those intros so that you can make sure you're signing those 2.5 clients a month. You also want to assure healthy and sustainable balance, and that one is a little more complicated. Of course, it's a little bit more specialized for each person. The consensus seems to be, because a lot of people say, well, I want to have 50 clients or something, or I want to have these 8-hour days when I'm just in this zone and there's no breaks between clients. And my experience has been, first of all, that doesn't really work. You want to make sure you don't have too large of a break in between clients, but you also want to make sure you do have a break, especially if you're doing healing work or physical work, if you're doing massages, but even if you're doing any sort of emotional work with people. And the consensus is that 15 clients, hourly, weekly clients, seems to be about the right pace for people to be able to stay healthy and to be sustainable. I, at some point, had 23 or 24 hour-long clients every week in these extended packages, 6-month packages, and my body really started to break down. Now, yours might thrive on it. It partly depends on you. But just know that really the consensus in the industry seems to be that about 15, maybe 18 tops is healthy, and that's a weekly, hourly client. So bear that in mind. You also want to, realize that if you use the system as you've been instructed, what'll happen is at some point you'll have to stop doing intros, but then you also have to realize that the sales flow for the intro and the sales funnel really takes about 2 weeks from meeting them, at least 10 days. And, of course, you need to schedule it 10 days before that. So you're really often looking at scheduling it, and then it's 20 days before you sign a new client. So you want to keep that in mind when you design your marketing plan. And of course, troubleshooting and fine tuning. Sometimes you just forget a step. Sometimes you may want to send me a question. In the next video, I'll talk about the troubleshooting your practice package. That's available to you as well. But I'm still always tinkering. Now, if you find a way in which you can improve it, I would be delighted to know about that. I would be happy to, publish it on the blog and link to you. That'd be great. My experience has also been, though, that there just isn't anything you could take away or necessarily add. I've been tinkering around with this stuff for, 8 years full time now in this aspect, the marketing and sales, how to actually run the business aspect. And I would love to fine tune it even further if you have any questions, or if you want something, if you want to share something, any comments, observations, reactions, any suggestions, and always, of course, any questions. And finally, repetition. Repetition is such an important piece, really. And for that, really, I want to stress something. Remember that skill and cognitive understanding are two very different things. Repetition is really the mother of integration. So you can understand something immediately, but it doesn't mean you're going to behave from there. It's like learning a new physical skill. It's like you don't just learn how to play a sport in one day because somebody explained it to you on a chalkboard. That's really just sort of silly. Yet we hold ourselves to the same standard. We think, oh, I should already know this. It's like, well, you know it, but you don't have it as a skill. You don't have it in your marrow. And so listen to this program over and over and over again and practice with people. And remember that we're all in evolution. We're always continuing to deepening our skill and to embody the principles. It's really not are we doing that or not, but to what degree. It's an asymptote. It is really about degrees. I still occasionally, forget a step, or I remember to add something, or, maybe the templates get a little bit longer. It's always in evolution, and you are always in evolution. And that's our lesson for this week. Thank you for allowing me to contribute to you. I wish you health, success, and fulfillment.